All right, we're
Hey
recording.
everybody, welcome to this episode of the Epic Hour. So glad to have you guys here. We're gonna give some time for people to log in, but we are gonna start with a tour of this Airbnb because we're actually at our crazy house, which we affectionately call the crazy house, but it is our themed room Airbnb. So it's pretty fun. It's 4 bedrooms, and then they each have their own theme, and then the rest of the house is just a little quirky. And I'd love to break down the numbers on this house actually after too, because we did really well on this one. Do we have any more people? Because I want to wait till there's a few people on.
There's 2.
Two? Well, hello, 2 people. We'll give it some time for a few more people to hop on, just because we don't know how many people are going to be here or not. And feel free to send in your questions if you guys have anything you'd like to ask. We'd love to make it very interactive.
Maybe we need to do a survey to send out to people asking what the best time of the day to do these are at. Maybe we have to do them in the evenings. A lot of people now have shifted back to work, so
yeah,
it could be that we have to shift ourselves.
Lots of people watch the recording too. So.
Yeah, that's true. We can always do that, for sure. Do we have a story we want to tell in the meantime?
You can.
Oh, I have to tell a story. Alrighty then. Oh, what has happened in the last week? Well, there's always lots. We're again hiring a couple more people, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, what are we interviewing for? I saw that.
Property inspectors. So what our property inspectors are in our team, they're the ones that drive to check the properties for garbage. They every 3 days have to check our vacant properties, go in, make sure if it's winter, the heat's on, the water, yada yada. We do this minimum of every 3 days basically is our goal. And from there, yeah, that's a big one. So we're got more houses, need more inspectors, and tenanted houses, they'll check, look for garbage, anything they can notice on the exterior of the property that may be needing replacement or being dealt with. Graffiti, yeah, eaves troughs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just kind of basically.
Your internet connection's unstable.
Uh-oh. Have we got a...
Did you guys hook up to the 5G or the regular?
Oh, I guess we're having technical issues. Hope you guys can still hear us.
The Nusha says hello, rock stars.
Oh, very nice.
We're still frozen.
No, we're good. We're still going.
They can hear you.
Yeah.
They just
Oh,
can't.
okay.
Yeah.
And they can see you. See,
Yeah.
This is just Bailey's.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the frozen one over there.
Oh. So yeah, we are frozen. Uh-oh. No, we are not auditioning for the new Disney Frozen 3. We are literally, I wouldn't make, well, you know, I have been the snowman. Remember that? Olaf. Remember when we dressed up for Halloween that year?
I was a whoopee cushion.
Yeah, I was Olaf. You know how I was Olaf? I bought a dog costume and stuck it on my head.
Think outside the box.
It was pretty good. I'll have to try and find those pictures.
Is it working at all? It's still stuck.
It's that we have.
There we are. Unmute your speaker. We're unmuted.
It says unmuted.
No, we're unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can anybody hear now? Is that any better? It's still slow. You can tell on that screen.
Well, it says we have full bars.
Not sure, guys. Apparently.
Yes.
Oh, Denisha says yes.
See, I'm here.
Okay, well, we'll just go with it. And we have a few more people that entered. So why don't we go on a tour? Sound like fun? We're going to have the recording anyway. So hopefully we'll just have to walk really slow apparently because I don't know why there's such a delay on that.
There we go.
No, it's delayed. Like
wow,
it's super slow.
Yeah. But what internet are you on?
5G.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's my finger. Oh, look, there it goes away.
Oh, this is not cool.
Do you want to get off it? Maybe? Sure.
Okay, well, I'm bored, so we should do something.
We'll have to basically...
Yeah, I would just go on the tour. And now I'm on Ashley's internet, so we're not on the same internet.
Okay, well, hopefully
that fixes it.
Yeah, hopefully it'll keep moving. So we will take you guys on a tour. So again, 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and it's our crazy house. So let's go. Where do we start? Well, may as well take a tour of the living room again. Okay. I don't know if you can
Are you going that way?
No, just the living room's there. They can get to it. Or...
Yep, I'm going. Stand in this corner.
So yeah, there's the living room. We've got the girls, our tech team here.
I'm going very slow.
Try and get the ceiling. So this
Oh,
ceiling,
yeah.
this house is so cool. So that's actually styrofoam, guys. So whoever lived in this house before we bought it, it was a foreclosure when we got it. And it was just super quirky. Like the design touches they had in here were pretty amazing. And I completely loved it, but it was all done a little like shabby-ish. So we made sure that everything was up to snuff and we turned it into a 4-bedroom house because it used to be a 3-bedroom house. So I just bought lots of quirky things that I could find from the buy and sell or Value Village or thrift stores, garage sales. And yeah, we in this house, because it is, you know, potentially gonna have lots of kids or families. We actually have lots of books and games too, which is something that I don't usually do in all the houses, but people seem to like them, which is fun. And then do you want to go through there? You can do the kitchen.
Sure.
So you can see it's not a huge house. It's on the smaller side, but we've tried to make use of everything that we could. There was 10 different types of wallpaper throughout this house. It was just wild. Actually, the ceiling is wallpaper. And it was pretty crazy. If you look at the way the lights are, this actually used to be fluorescent lighting. And I was like, well, what do I do with that? Because I can't patch in the paper wallpaper. So we actually just boarded this in and
Framed
then,
it basically.
yeah. And then so I kind of got creative. Again, how fast can you think on the fly, right? And then you got to check out this kitchen cabinet and the backsplash. So again, this was like this. We changed out the lights, but this kitchen was already like this when we bought it. But this is the pennies with the whatever they call it.
Polyurethane.
Yeah, the extra stuff on top. So somebody spent so much time and energy doing this house. It was wild. Of course, we had to fix, you know, a bunch of little stuff and whatnot, but overall it had so much character. I absolutely love it.
Oh, you better show them the cop.
Oh yeah, and check out this guy. This was actually a gift from our friend Dr. Rose.
Stop. Move away from the cookie jar. Stop. Move away from the cookie jar.
His eyes used to flutter. Anyway, pretty funny. So that's cool.
We need that at the office.
Just like knickknacks and all those pretty stuff.
Everybody needs a mermaid beer can or beer bottle opener.
Right. Super fun. Watch yourself on here.
Yeah.
And then this is a small room, but here we have the Alice room. So this actually was the dining room before, but we got the wall built in between so we can have another bedroom. And check out this wall. So the wall of mirrors. This was what I got the inspiration to do the Alice room for. And somebody spent that much time shattering mirrors and gluing them to this wall. It's pretty mind-boggling, actually. So lots of fun details. And yeah, the Alice in Wonderland. So if you guys take a big look around, I don't know if you get that vibe, but that is, you know, we pulled lots of elements from Alice with the tea party and the wise owl, and we've got some cat stuff and, you know, lots of fun stuff.
And she even found framed grass to stick on the wall.
And then my mama actually helped me with this. She made little tags, like just like in Alice. So lots of fun.
All right.
And then again, you can see all the weird wallpaper everywhere. We just tried to work with whatever was here and then kind of play off of it. Who doesn't need a Mona Lisa, right? Did you guys know that the real Mona Lisa is like tiny, but we like to big. So, and then we've got the bathroom, which was fun. So again, somebody spent way too much time gluing pennies to the wall. I'm like, really? You had that much time in your hand and you couldn't pay your mortgage, so you lost your house? Wow. So,
but this is the next level.
yeah. So somebody literally took old pinup magazines and decoupaged it all over the wall, like homemade wallpaper. I love this about this house. So we had to go in and, you know, fix it and patch it a bit, but it was so well done. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So we definitely played off of that. And then in here we have the haunted Victorian mansion room.
More of your styrofoam tile.
Yeah, styrofoam tile that looks like tin. And I actually took my headboard and nightstands out of my bedroom because this house just needed it. It was so amazing. So lots of fun stuff in here. And then I don't know if you can get a backup of the dresser, but we had our furniture refinisher actually refinished this dresser. And then the mirror, we actually repurposed. It was actually a piece of artwork that came out of a house that we purchased and they had left stuff behind. So the guys put a mirror instead of the artwork. And we just, yeah. So I
Just
thought that was,
repurpose the frame.
yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of stuff you can actually get for free. Oh, check out the fireplace. One of the tenants left that behind at a house. So we used that in here. So lots of fun stuff.
Oh, and everybody needs a pinky and blue boy right there.
Because that's not creepy at all. Haunted Victorian mansion. And then in here, this is actually, it got a crawl space. So there's no basement. So we have the laundry up here, which is kind of cool. So the guests have access to the whole house. We rent it as one. And then
there's an upstairs.
oh, don't forget the creepy doll.
Oh yes, the dolls are creepy.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there's 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Woo!
So in here, we've got the vintage Hollywood room. It's kind of the glam throwback. So we got some Marilyn, some Audrey, some Elvis. I was inspired because of the wallpaper and the gold on the ceiling and the chandelier. Just kind of reminded me of that type of.
Yeah, that's original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was here. Yeah. And then you can see the Coke and the popcorn and the movie time. So. And then the funnest room. But this is the Star Wars room.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, this is, my kid keeps asking about this room.
We got lots of fun goodies in here.
May the 4th be with you. Oh darn, we missed that.
Apparently the T's missing. Yeah.
The what?
The T on the May the Force be with you. You got all that stuff?
Yeah. I think
Okay. Okay, tour done. Well, there's the backyard patio space too. So there's no garage or anything, but it's nice and enclosed, so that's fun for guests. Okay.
There we go. Yay.
Okay. So we are here now.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that tour because this is probably one of Rochelle's funnest projects she's ever done.
Totally was. I love this house. So if any of you are interested, we can actually break down the numbers on this house because it was a smoking deal. So you have to keep in mind that, again, flipping isn't really a big deal in our city as far as making money and such, because a lot of times people, in order to flip a house, you have to be able to have an end buyer. Right. And so this is in a cute neighborhood, but it's not super desirable. It's the Kelsey Woodlawn area. It's literally 2 blocks away. I can see the cemetery from here. Mm-hmm. So it kind of has a little bit of a stigma for some people, which I don't care. I'd live here. But at the end of the day, it's actually a 50-foot lot. So we saw value in the lot and we were like, you know, the house is still in good condition. So if we can limp it along for like 10 or 20 years, eventually the house won't even owe us anything. It will completely just be land value. So we're like, okay, awesome. So we ended up getting it, and it was funny because I always say I'm not emotional about property. It's always about the numbers, da da da. So actually, one of our wholesalers found us this property, and he brought us through it, and it was a bank foreclosure. And when we came through, I was like, okay, it has an interesting heating system because of the crawl space. It's actually in the floor. It's a grate, and it used the air is supposed to like rise and there was like cutouts in the floor, really weird. So when we did all new flooring throughout the house, we just blocked those in and then put electric baseboard heaters upstairs in the bedrooms. And so for us, it didn't really matter, but that's why we figured a lot of homeowners weren't looking at it because of the weird heating system. We're like, whatever, we can make this work. So when the wholesaler brought it to us, he was able to get it for $130,000. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I went home and I was telling Lisa about it, and I could not get this house out of my head. Like literally just all the quirkiness. And I was like, we can add a wall, build a, make it a 4-bedroom, 1-bath house instead of it being a 3-bed, 1-bath house. And I really think I could Airbnb it. At that point, we didn't have any single family houses that we Airbnb'd, but I was like, I'll do a theme and it'll be really fun and whatnot. So I just literally could not get it out of my head. So I went back to the wholesaler, and I think it was listed for like 150 or 160 on MLS. I can't remember, whatever, but it had been on the market for a long time. And so I was like, go get that house. I don't care what you pay. Just go get it. And he's like, what? And then Alyssa's bugging me, right? Because she's like, okay, Rochelle, I thought we don't get emotional about things.
I didn't air quote.
Well, pretty much. Let's be real. So yeah, but it was pretty wild. So I was just in love with it. And yeah, so we ended up getting it under contract. So he got it for $130,000. He held on to it for 3 months for us. And then we turned around and ended up buying it off of him for $150,000 after we had done the renovations and everything. So what's interesting about this is with the whole renovation, plus all the furniture we put in here, and again, I buy everything used and we repurpose and all that kind of things, but we actually put about 15 grand in here with the furniture, which keep in mind, we can pull the furniture out. So we're in for about 165. Of course, we had to pay our money partner and whatnot, but we are actually selling this into our hassle-free landlord program for the newly appraised value of $225,000. So what do you think about those numbers, hey? Not bad. So yeah, and we're using it as an Airbnb, so it'll cash flow for us. And
I was gonna say, it's an Airbnb, it cash flows like a mofo.
Exactly. Yeah, so pretty fun stuff. So do you guys have any questions? We would love to know. Otherwise, we'll just go into our content that we had talked about. But
it's looking like we're telling stories.
yes.
There we go. So the team actually decided that they thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to talk a little bit about community involvement. And for us, it is actually a big part of who we are and who E.P.I.C is. We do partake in as much as we can for helping with the community and all those kinds of things. So very few people know that we partner with Habitat for Humanity. We were, of course, everything's changed right now, so we've got to regroup, but we were doing fundraisers here and there for Habitat for Humanity and turning around, and our goal is to get enough money put together to do an E.P.I.C build. So for those of you that don't know how that works, to get a house built for Habitat for Humanity or partner with them to have a project move forward, it's $100,000. So our goal is to try and get that together with all kinds of things. Now we're having to regroup and figure out now how can we fundraise or how can we get more people to partake. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. One of the things here, this is a cool story that Rochelle and I actually, I should let you tell this story.
Yeah. So one of my cousins is actually one of the principals at one of these schools on our reserve. And so she had actually shoulder tapped us and asked if we could come out and share our entrepreneurial story about being real estate investors and all that jazz to some of the students who were in the older classes. I think it was grade 7 and 8, if I remember. I can't remember.
I want to say older.
Maybe older.
Yeah.
I can't remember what grade it was. It's a couple years back. But yeah, so we actually went out. So I'm from Beardy's and Okomassis. And so some people don't know that I'm status. So I've never been raised on reserve. I'm completely urban, but at the same time, those are still my roots, and that's where, my family's from and all that, which is cool. So yeah, we jumped at the opportunity. So we went out there for an afternoon, got to share our story, which is something we always love to do. And it was interesting because, again, some people ask, questions because you don't know what you don't know, right? And I'm sure, like many people, I guess, like I was, like many people, where I did not know that real estate investing was a thing. Again, loved playing Monopoly when I was a kid, but never really grasped the concept that that could be
your life.
Yeah. So I think, again, you never know where we might share something or somebody might pick something up from that talk or whatever, and it might, show up later on in their lives, which we love the ripple effect. So that was a big opportunity for us to do. So we were super stoked to be able to do that.
It is a big, huge part of what we do. And then the other thing that we thought was pretty interesting that we did back in the day was there's paddling pools around Saskatoon, Splash Park, those kinds of things. And for the inner city kids, they're like huge entertainment all summer. Like every kid in that neighborhood is basically at those pools. That's what they're doing all summer. And so last year we had actually heard that they were having a lot of difficulties. Funding, of course, for everything just keeps getting cut and cut and cut. And
well, how we found out about that is my mom actually saves up recycling throughout the whole winter and then donates it, because my mom is an educator and has been forever, but she knows how creative you can be with, Kleenex boxes and toilet paper holders and, squeeze containers or whatever it might be. Yeah. So she saves all winter and then drops off these donations to 1 or 2 paddling pools, because then they have free supplies and whatnot. So when I went and my mom had given them to me to drop off, so I went and I said, hey, could you make use of this? And they were like, oh my gosh, this would be amazing. So then I went to Alisa and I said, hey, what if we bought some stuff and donated where it came from? And then that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, like literally just went to the dollar store and went on a small shopping spree and got them the items that they could utilize with the kids. So it was really simple things like construction paper and markers and coloring books to, I think we bought like the bubble maker, like
pool noodles.
Noodles.
We had asked them, we had went to the parks beforehand and asked them if they would be okay with that. And then also asked them what they would be needing. And so they actually got us a list of about 10 things. So we kind of started that with our purchase. And
and I think we spent what, $250?
Yeah.
It was about that. Yeah. So like really, I mean, again, an easy way to give back and turn around. And I mean, how hard would it be or hard for you to, and a small group of friends to raise $200 and then be able to put that towards giving to something or someone? And, it's not always the cash that's needed. Sometimes like even if you had given them the money, the chain of command, it would have had to go through and all of that to get to that specific spot for those pools. I don't know if it ever would have happened. Whereas by us just going and buying the supplies, it just cut all that red tape. So the kids that really needed it actually got it. Yeah. And I think that's what I really appreciated about us doing it.
Yeah. And the spin-off of that is really neat, because and there's strategic parks that we looked at potentially doing again when everything's open and whatnot. But it's really, do we have the highest density population for our rental properties? Because again, that's where we know we have a lot of single mamas and, kind of struggling parents or whatever in our portfolio. And we were like, how can we best impact them the most? Right. And so this is a way we figured it would hit, a good amount of our tenants.
Yeah. So the other one we got is Read Saskatoon. So we have partnered for a while now with Read Saskatoon, and we're super excited that we partner with them. This is a group where they basically teach adults how to read. And a lot of people go, okay, well, that's cute. But I want you to think about it for 1 minute. Go through your life and not be able to read. You can't read your prescription bottles. You can't read anything that's in front of you. You can't read anything that is handed to you. It's actually a larger problem than most people realize. Not only though do they teach people to read, they also actually teach our clientele how to open up bank accounts. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that don't even know how to open a bank account, how to have a checkbook, how to balance that bank account, and on and on and on. And those are things that we take for granted, how a debit card works, how an ATM works.
Well, and again, it spins off to financial literacy. How many of our tenants or people in that social demographic area don't even have a bank account? Not because they don't know, but because maybe they don't even have the ID to be able to open them, or whatever the barriers might be. So again, if they can have support to do that, that's a big deal. I know a lot of our tenants will go to Money Mart to cash a check. Do you know how much of a percentage they take to cash the check? These people are already not getting a lot of money to survive, and then Money Mart's going to take whatever, I don't even know, it's 10% or whatnot. It's a big chunk. And so again, we're always trying to help people and help them up level. Again, you can't want it more than they do.
Yeah.
So you can only give a hand up, not a handout. And that's what we really strive for.
It's a big foundation for us. Absolutely. So how that fits is what we do is in our tenant lease packages, we actually have, it's like an information card about Reed Saskatoon and the programs they offer, right with all of our information for when we're renting properties. We actually have a lot of numbers and stuff we hand out to our tenants. We actually have the city police, just their standard call, because then a lot of times they're scared to just call, and because they think they have to dial 911. Well, that's not true. There's an actual community liaison number you can call so that you can ask questions and do those kinds of things. We also hand out the mental health numbers. All of those kinds of things are very, very important. And it really, I feel, helps uplift our tenants and give them the opportunity to uplift themselves. So we're really big on trying to educate even our own tenants. And, it's paying off, because this year when the snow melted, we have, I don't know how it works everywhere, but here we have the fire marshals and bylaw inspectors that come around and they check yards and whatever. And to our team and their credit, we had one notice of garbage out of all of our properties that needed to be dealt with. So that's a huge win, that our tenants got that education, that it's not okay to just set your garbage in the yard, that you have to respect the property you're living in. And not a lot of people would put the time and energy into doing that with these kinds of tenants, but we do.
And it's exhausting, actually, because I live right in the core. And so on my block, we only have we own one property on there. So we don't really have a big impact. Some blocks we own 4, 5, 6 houses. So we do actually have kind of that ripple effect in that block. But I am backing a 4-plex. I don't know who owns this property. I don't know who manages this property, but honest to God, it may as well be the landfill, because by the time that they go to put their garbage out, it's literally pouring all over the entire alley, which then of course blows throughout the whole neighborhood. So there's not even a point in me trying to clean up my yard when it's literally just blowing right in. It's so frustrating, because for those of us who want to be better, and it's that ripple effect where you do what you see and see what you do. So if you come home and you've had a hard day's work and you're like, oh, great, garbage. Am I going to go pick up the garbage when I know if I pick it up, it's just going to blow in from them the next day? No. So you just let it be. And so again, that's not the great, I guess, chain that we want to be part of. And it sucks. And it's, again, an energy thing. So for us, we're trying to be able to be the change. And hopefully other people will start to take more pride in their properties.
Yeah, that house is on the hit list to buy.
Yeah, like I said, I've never been in it, but it's a revolving door. It's poorly managed, and it really, that's what we're trying to get away from, is the slumlords in town. Mm-hmm. And so for us, we do have, like Alisa said, a hit list to find out who owns it and try to go and recoup. But again, if they bought it at the height of the market 4 years ago, chances are they paid too much, and they're not going to let it go for less, no matter how much pain or vacancies or whatever they've had associated with it.
Absolutely.
We try.
So another group we're involved with is Executive Women International, so EWI. This is a little more on me. It's a group of women, specifically professional women in either business, entrepreneurs, anything like that, career orientated. And we gather once a month and bring in a speaker, and we network and educate on how can we uplift and help each other in whatever areas of our life that we need it. And then we also fundraise for our assist program, which is basically how that works is it's a funding for single parents to attend post-secondary schooling. So whether that's more of like a tech schooling, so like here it's SciAS, or if it's like the University of Saskatchewan. But the goal is to put together these scholarships so we can actually put funding towards sending single parents to school, which is, we have a huge association to that. Rochelle was raised by a single mom, and I, for a long period of my life, was a single mom. So it hits close to our hearts. So we really want to be one of the ripple effects to helping that not be a barrier for people. Yeah. And then we've got the Trade Journey program with the YWCA. this is really, really close to our hearts as well. See, here's the thing. I don't think most people realize that we are this heavily involved in this many programs in our community. So I'm really glad that we're getting this time to let everybody out there know that, you know, we're more than just real estate investors.
Yeah.
We are a bigger picture. We want to be a bigger solution. And so I'm really proud of these things, that we are part of all of this. So yeah, the Trade Journey program is the YWCA. And that another thing a lot of people don't know is we actually have our own construction/electrical company as well. And in that is where we put up our apprenticeship program. And through that, we bring in apprentices, and we're basically looking for 3 requirements. So we try to pair with someone that's female. So our goal is basically 80% females. Then we're pairing with single parents, or we're partnering with Aboriginal people. So I think I'm supposed to say Indigenous. I think I got crap the other day.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, sorry. But anyways, in that we have, right now we do it through plumbing, electricians, and carpentry. So this is a big, big one close to home for us. So why is this so special, and why the YWCA? So the YWCA has a program here where they take females for 16 weeks and actually let them try each one of the trades. So I think it's 4 they concentrate. I shouldn't say each one, because I think there's 32 red seal trades out there. But basically it's plumbing, carpentry, electrical, and I think like drywalling, something along that line. So with that being said, these people have had that opportunity to really decide which one they want to hone in on. They've had experience with tools. So we actually partner and hire a lot of our apprentices from that program. And that's one of the reasons why, because they've actually spent 16 weeks learning math, learning tools, learning, you know, trying each one of the trades. So it's not, oh, they get into it and then go, oh, this really isn't for me, right? So I really enjoy the program because it helps weed out a lot of that. And if someone has gone through a 16-week voluntary, they're not paid in this program, voluntary program to educate themselves, then I feel they're pretty hungry and they want it. So that's another one. And in our apprenticeship program, we pay our tuition or their tuition to go to school. We also pay their wage while they go to school, so they don't have to go on training. E.I. I'm older, so I say UI all the time. But yeah, so employment insurance. And then on top of it, if they're a single parent, we're also going to help them with some of the costs for childcare. And I don't know too many other employers that offer those kind of benefits to an apprentice, so they can actually level up and have a level playing field to partake in getting an amazing career. So that is another side of E.P.I.C that any of our investors that are part of us are actually assisting in. So that's a cool piece, just so you know, you guys. And then the other one we partner with, which falls under the apprenticeship program, is the Gabriel de Mont Institute. So this is the group, they work a lot heavily with the, I believe it's the Métis, and they offer programs to help, again, educate, level up people, and help them find jobs. So again, it's another program that we find our team members through. So these are just simple things that we are doing, or we feel are, to us, are just easy and simple to do to help up-level a community. Tons of our team members live in the neighborhoods that we are renting like houses and have tenants in, and we're helping them break that cycle that they may have carried on and stayed renting tenants or not up-leveled and gotten careers. So again, we really, again, feel that that whole community spirit is such a viable part of our business.
Yeah, we do try to listen to when people are wanting things or wanting to up-level their lives. And we try to keep an open channel of communication with all of our team members to know what their goals are. And when they do the interviewing, they always, ask, well, where do you see yourselves in 5 years, right? And it kind of helps us get an insight as to what those people's goals are. And then we can actually, again, just like we do with our investors, create a blueprint to be able to help them navigate to their goal faster. And at the end of the day, some people want to own properties just to live in or a home for their family. Some people want to end up, getting their journeyman ticket. Some people want to eventually break off and maybe own their own company. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean that they can't work with us for a certain amount of years, and then we can kind of foster them out on their way or whatever. It's not like people are tied to working with us, or they feel like they can't share their aspirations with us. We never try to hold people back. We always want to help level people up. And if our paths coincide for a certain amount of time, great. And if not, no big deal.
Yeah. And we've had actually people bring that up. Oh, do you make your apprentices like sign paperwork and contracts that they have to stay here forever and yada, 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 or something like that? I'm like, no, I don't want people that don't want to be here. Yeah. And we are only a residential company. What if their aspirations are to be industrial or commercial, or like back in the day, Rochelle thought she wanted to work on, what was it? Offshore oil rigs, right? What if that's somebody's dream? Well, who the hell am I to get in their way? That doesn't make sense. I'd rather be the one that's that ripple effect that, hey, I brought somebody into this company, or we brought somebody into this company. We trained them the best that we could so that they'll go out in the world and potentially help others and be a good teacher and have that ripple effect moving forward. That's more valuable.
And if anybody knows anything about the trades, it's really, really hard to get your first job. I mean, it's like that with anything. Your first job is always the hardest because no one wants to hire you because you don't have the experience, but you can't get the experience because no one will hire you. It's that catch-22, right? Which is so frustrating. And I went through that when I was first wanting to get a job, right? I was 16 because back then you couldn't be 12 and working like you can now. God, if time was changed, man, I would have been retired at 25, whatever. But at the end of the day, it always like, getting that first job, if you don't really know somebody or have a way to kind of get fostered in, it's really, really tough. So for us, we always reach out to our network and say, look, we're looking for charismatic people who want to work hard. They're really dedicated employees and they work with integrity and they have a good work ethic, because those are the kind of things, like those are human morals, principles, and values. We can't train people on that. They have to come with that. So that's why, again, we're trying to attract the right type of vibe for a person, and then we can train them the skills, right? Yeah. Skills you can train, mindset you really can't, unless people want to up level.
100%. And then the other thing, we get a lot of people asking, how do we find our tenants, or who do we pair with for our tenants? Now, remember, we've talked about our tenants are a special niche that are on typically some kind of program. So social assistance, something like that. Here we have a list of actually some of the groups that we've paired with to find the tenants that we need. We have Aid Saskatoon, The Hub, Salvation Army Crossroads, YWCA Mums Program, Housing First, White Buffalo, and the Indian Métis Friendship Center. So really, these are all just community groups that we have aligned with. They like our housing we provide, and they call us saying, hey, I have people that need housing. So it is true. If you find the right niche, tenants will come to you, and that doesn't matter. Student housing is another one. If you're a hardcore landlord that's renting to students, if you find that right niche of what they look for in housing, what are they desiring, your locations are correct, they're going to come to you. A friend is going to come to you, or a friend is going to come to that tenant and then say, oh my gosh, I love this location and that and that and that. I mean, it's just all about what do your tenants need and want. And then they will, I'm not kidding you, they'll come to you.
And Alisa, how many of our team members rent from us?
There's a few. You want an exact? No, it's not that.
There's a
not
lot.
that many.
There's a lot.
Well, we said they come from these neighborhoods,
yeah.
Right? So
no, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, at the end of the day, we always try to work with people and create win-win opportunities, right? And so, if we have a better house, for example, we had a brand new build that we just got from a distressed builder who, whatever, didn't listen, and we told him not to build there unless he totally built what we told him to build. Yeah. But again, didn't listen, went and built whatever he thought he should build. So we literally overbuilt it, spent about 10 grand too much in product because he put in
at least.
Yeah, that's on the low side. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, all this upgraded stuff where I was like, dude, you're in the hood, man. Like, who's going to buy that? So the one thing he did do was he did put a legal suite in, which is great. So we ended up being able to come to an agreement. So we were able to actually acquire it as a hassle-free landlord house. But again, it's a hood house, and it's tough because it's a brand new build. You know what's probably going to happen if we go to put our tenants in there. It's not going to look like a new build 6 months from now. So it worked out really well because one of our team members was actually looking for a property at that point in time, and he wanted to be closer to the shop because it's easier to get to work. And so, yeah, he actually rents it. So we know it's being taken care of, and it's a good house, right?
Yeah.
So again, it win-wins. We always try to strategize those and make stuff happen. So
Yes. And then what have we got here? Why community is important to Epic Alliance Inc. Well, I think we kind of basically covered that. It's fostering your values and your beliefs and your integrity, right? If you don't believe in your community that you're trying to do business in, that's going to be a tough sell, folks. Like you really got to level that up. Nothing there? No? Good. Okay. And so the team wrote Alisa and the Star Phoenix, the fight against copper theft in rental properties. Like, okay, the copper theft. I don't know how many other landlords or property owners have had to deal with this, but copper theft is a horrible situation. We had a rash amount of break-ins there for a brief period in time until we pivoted and adapted and shifted to on our own fixing it to some degree. One of the things we had to implement was we actually remove the copper the minute we buy the house now. So people on the street have realized there's no point in an EA Properties, that's our rental company, there's no point in having anything to do with this property for those kinds of things because they've already removed it, right? So that's a big one on how we started combating it. But what happens is it's something that I felt I needed to advocate for because it is a huge plight and problem for a lot of core neighborhoods and a lot of cities because of meth. I'm just going to cut right to the chase. It's like the dollar currency for meth addicts. They can go strip a house of copper. And when I say strip a house of copper, they're going in and smashing the walls to pull it out from behind the tub surround. They're pulling vanities off the walls to get that little piece of copper because an entire house will pretty much service them with enough meth for 2 to 3 weeks. And that just bothers me to the core. The fact that these people can roll up on their bikes or with their shopping carts filled with copper, and these places that buy it just could care less. So I've been advocating and trying to get change put forward in the legislations and laws that, in my opinion, you basically should have to be a red seal or invested in a trade program in order to receive money for the copper. If you're just renovating and you want to recycle, no problem. You can take it in and it's taken care of. You're not having to force it to the dump. I just feel that someone walking up off the street with a shopping cart full of copper should not receive market value for it so they can just turn around and go feed their habit. To me, it's just a crack in society there that needs to be filled so that this doesn't continue to happen. Like, I think in total, we had something like 38 houses hit where they came in and stole the copper. And so, we have quite a few houses. So it was, quite the thing that we had to actually contend with and deal with. So what happened is, because I was becoming such an advocate, the Star Phoenix actually ran an article, and I was on the front of the paper. So that's where that story's coming from. So this one is one that you should right here. This is coaching.
Yeah, so lots of people will ask us if we do coaching or mentoring, which we do not do. And honestly, for me personally, I just have zero patience and I get bored really easily. I don't like repeating myself. So, this is again why we kind of wanted to go back to having these epic hours. So there will be recordings, and it's why we're doing the hassle-free landlord presentation and the fun to flip presentation, so that we have a recording now, so we can just send that out and say, if you have any questions, watch this. If there's anything else that comes up after that, by all means, come back and ask us and we can clarify. But at the end of the day, we're just so busy building towards our journey to $1 billion that any time that we put into, the idea of coaching or mentoring somebody else, it takes us away from our final goal. So at the end of the day, once we hit our $1 billion of properties under our control, maybe that's something we might look into. I don't know. probably not, but I mean, you never know. But at the end of the day, I always will take calls with people. And I love to be able to let people pick my brain if they find value in that. I mean, different strokes. But I just have no ambition to want to take money from people. And then basically I would feel I would have a vested interest in that person, and I would need them to do really great. And I just care too much. And I just would take too much of my energy away. And so for me,
one of the things that's worked well is somebody will often approach us to partake in a webinar or a Zoom call with a group of people to talk about our struggles, our wins, our lessons, those kinds of things. And we're always open to that. Anyone who would like that, where you think that us coming on and speaking about our experiences as business owners, entrepreneurs can be beneficial to some people, we're open for those kinds of things. But the one-on-one coaching, it's very time consuming. And honestly, I think that very few people are serious about it. I have a problem, like my situation is very similar to Rochelle on feelings about it. I have a problem taking money from someone and then having them just not step up. And I think that's the biggest issue with me, is that I will go put this energy into people and then they will just not do it. And I don't have time for that. So that's one of the reasons we haven't done a coaching system or an educational system in that regard. I mean, we're always open to people. Like we were just on Jacob, what's his last name?
You can't remember Jacob's last name.
Jennings, thank you. And what an amazing group of people he's got on his podcast. I was on there for an hour and a half, and that's all it was just giving different ideas of how to push through your mindset. And the one person was an HR person, and they actually, I think if I remember, had like a master's degree in it and all this, and which her real passion was to travel. And I was like, well, have you ever considered HR in a box? I said, so much stuff has now moved online with businesses and that. And I said, there's so many businesses in the position I'm in. We got 65 employees. It's not quite enough to hire an HR person full time, but yet we're always juggling, trying to wear the HR hat. And I'm like, if you could make an HR in a box where it's like, okay, on Tuesdays and Thursdays between these hours, you can reach out on the phone to talk to HR. And they were able to, deliver a lot of stuff over video and have the contracts done and that kind of stuff. I said, you would be alleviating something that I'm having issues with. And I said, if I'm struggling as a business owner, I could almost guarantee you there are other ones out there struggling with the exact same thing and having to deal with that issue. So things like that, we will openly talk about or help with people. Again, it's only a suggestion. Take it, leave it. I don't care. But that's the reason I prefer to do it that way for educating people, is that exact factor. Take it or leave it, because then I don't have to care. Okay. So yeah, because then I can keep putting my energy and focusing on E.P.I.C and the amazing people that we have with us on this journey, because that's where my true energy needs to stay. So yeah. Sure. And then we've got, this is a good one too. Okay, so good relationships with the police service and the fire department. Again, anyone who is a landlord, it doesn't matter what city, town, whatever that you're in with your properties, there's going to be a governing body that will check your properties, check on your tenants, or be involved with your tenants, right? So for us, because of the niche we're in, the police department is a department that we have to have a great relationship with. And honestly, it took time. It was not like that at the beginning when we started out, but now, go ahead.
But I think there was a lot of stigmas though.
Yes.
And then we take over a lot of properties, and
yes,
some of the properties we take over, the previous landlords might have had a really tense relationship with the fire inspectors or whatever. And there's actually been a lot of hostility. And so then all of a sudden we take over the property. Mm-hmm. So as a byproduct, we end up kind of with that bad rap, and that's like no, like it's an E.P.I.C house now, it's okay, it's good, like back down, right? And so thankfully Alisa's been able to foster all those relationships, and we've been able to get everything back into line, I guess. But it was kind of hairy there for a few properties and a few different personalities and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but it's been worth it. Now to have those relationships we have, it makes all the difference. So I can give a prime example. We have a tenant. This is common in the neighborhoods that we're dealing with. They decide they're backyard mechanics or bike shops. So like pedal bike shops. So they literally pull apart vehicles or they pull apart bikes, and our hands are a little bit tied, but I can literally pick up the phone and phone a fire marshal or a community liaison with the police department and say, hey, this is happening. Can I please get you to come and help me educate this tenant that this is not okay? And they always step up and come. And that took, like I said, that took time, and it is worth it to set up those relationships. Do not make these groups your enemies. They will win every time. It is not worth it. You need to figure out how you can make a good relationship with these groups, because it's going to save you so much headache in the long run.
And we knew that even when we started flipping houses, right? You never want to piss off the city, because the city is the one who allows you to purchase properties and, you know, get permits, approve permits. Like it's, you know, and for me, like I'm not a yes ma'am, right? So when it came down to biting my tongue and being like, yeah, okay, it was not my nature, but I knew it had to be done in order for us to have a civil working relationship. And so sometimes you just gotta suck it up.
It's big picture. It's keeping the big picture and realizing, is that moment going to detract or add to your future vision? And that, I think, is something that gets lost with a lot of people. They get caught up in that moment, and then it's like, oh damn, had I just, you know, walked away or whatever, I wouldn't be putting so much energy into this specific moment, and I could be focusing on the future.
Yeah, because believe me, we do not need any more makeshift problems. There are already enough real problems that we have to attend to, so let's not create any more.
100%. And any of these things that we have talked about, by all means, feel free to email us or text or anything, and we'll gladly answer any questions that we can around these areas of, again, we can only reference where we've been, which is mostly Saskatoon for dealing with this. But the theory, I'm sure, doesn't matter where you are, will still remain the same, going from city to city, province to province, state to state. It's always going to be that way. All right. And then we have the cash flow game, which we had with us last time, I think, didn't we? When we were
talking about the books, so anybody watched episode 5, we did give a shout out to Robert Kiyosaki for creating cash flow, because that's an amazing game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and we used to host the cash flow game night, but we also hosted a monthly networking night for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny because I actually just had a call with somebody yesterday, and he's like, you know, it's too bad you guys don't host a monthly networking night or a networking event locally. And I was like, oh, dude, that ship has sailed. So, you know, again, for us, we're trying to hit a very niche demographic of people who might want to partner with us, right? So people who are open-minded enough to understand that there's value in investing in real estate, realizing they don't want to do all the things, and they just want to align with people who they can go into partnership with, and we can all benefit, right? And some people don't see the value in that. And that's okay. But that's why, you know, when we wound down our networking nights, we took the show on the road. And that's when I started traveling really aggressively across Canada, focusing mostly on Vancouver and Toronto, and then just getting in front of other people's networks and saying, hey, we have this amazing opportunity, here's where we're at. And really now where we're putting all of our energy and focus is creating our affiliate partners, right? So getting an army of people who understand what Epic Alliance does and who we are, and then introducing us to people in their networks, because we're going to go farther together. Right? We're only 2 people. We've got 65 team members, but we've got hundreds and growing of investors. And if everybody told one person, that's the ripple effect. And think about it, you know, you're not really necessarily tied to that one specific person, but at the end of the day, if they choose to make a decision and invest, you are part of their story. And how cool is that in 10 years when they hit their financial goals, whatever that might be, if it's retiring early or if it's getting 5 properties or whatever, you can be part of their journey. And that is the magic.
It really is. Yeah. And so we used to host the cash flow game nights, and we still believe that people should have this game because it is a great tool to turn around and see where people's mindsets are and see if there's an actual possibility of getting them to kind of look at this investment opportunity. I actually pretty much it's about every 5 weeks, every time the YWCA has a new cohort of apprentices come through, or not apprentices, women come through for training, I go in and actually play the cash flow board game with these people. And the reason is to try and get them to understand how money works and where it can take them if they actually utilize it properly. I really go into breaking out the whole concept of passive income and how you can utilize it to 10x your life instead of every paycheck you get just blowing it on whatever's in front of you, right? And it's not really taught in so many of the institutions out there, and it's really sad. And obviously it's that way for a reason, but we won't get into that. And I do what I can to utilize it as a tool to educate anyone I can. And I think it's a great one for families and all of that to have and enjoy.
Yeah, financial literacy is a big part that is missing in our world. It's not just the school systems, it's everywhere, right? And if you think about it, generally you learn what you learn from the people you surround yourself with, right? So whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, but if they don't know better, then how are they supposed to be up leveling? And I find a lot of us, and me included, grew up in a very scarcity mindset world. And again, like, our parents do the best they can with what they have. And again, their lessons are really what they grew up with. And so it's up to us to find out that there is a different way and then to learn a different way. And I always say, when you know better, you do better. And by us continually up leveling and continually wanting to grow and expand our thoughts and our relationships with money or with, it's not a relationship. It's not just with people. Like, there's a relationship and an energy around money. And a lot of times, if people are not giving the money that they're earning or the money that they're spending enough respect and enough energy, you're just going to piss it away and you're not going to have anything, because it's not going to be an abundant language or a relationship that you have with it. So then, therefore, you're never going to have a lot of it, and it's not going to create wealth, whatever that looks like in your world. So it's again, it goes back to a lot of mindset stuff. And some people are like, oh, I don't agree with you. That's fine. You're allowed to your own opinions. But at the end of the day, when you actually go and start to break down the work that needs to be done with money itself and how to attract more of it, keep more of it, and grow more of it, it all comes down to your thoughts and your subconscious beliefs. Because some people literally believe that to have money is evil.
Yeah.
And if that's your belief system, you will never have any.
Yes. And
so, you got to go back to the roots and figure out, where did that money language or that energy even come from? Because it came from somewhere. And so if you can't figure out the root of where it came from and then figure out a way to better that relationship and better that language, then it never will get better. And there's work that needs to be done. And that is just the stuff that you got to decide if you want to do it or not. And that's on you guys to do. But we're here to support however best, that looks for you guys. And again, we love having phone calls and talks with people. So if you're interested in booking in a one-on-one call, even if it's not even about investing with us, I mean, again, we love when people pick our brains, and if you find value in that, book in a call. We'd love to chat.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like our hour is pretty much up here. So we want to say thank you very much for everybody who came on today again.
For sure.
And look forward to, do we have next week picked out?
No, we haven't picked out next week, but we do have our Fund to Flip information session that's going to be happening this Thursday, May 14th at 7 p.m. Saskatoon time, so CST. So wherever that lies for the number exchange, we'll make sure we have this all on social media and on Instagram. The recording will be available for this call as well, if you're interested in getting it, or the webinar, pardon me, and then you can share it with people who you think might enjoy some of the information that we shared with you guys today. But we do want to respect your time, so we'll sign off shortly. But thank you guys for spending an hour with us.
Yeah.
Have a
Stay
great day.
epic.